first product of Edinburgh Instruments were gas lasers. Spectroscopy products came about in 1978 when we had a collaboration with Glasgow University, Strathclyde University. Since that time, 1978, company's main business is time-coded single photon counting. I think Edinburgh Instruments today is known for his part in time-coded single photon counting. We developed good electronics for this. We have a full range of products these days. So time-coded single photon counting means we not just count the photons per second, we also know when the photons arrive. The arrival times of photons is for organic samples in the nanosecond or picosecond time regime, 10 to the power of 9 or 10 to the power of 12 minus 12 seconds. Together with doing time-coded single photon counting, we also had to develop fast excitation sources. These are lasers these days. So we produce a whole range of lasers that we use as excitation sources for our measurements. We do practically all the design of these products. We do all these developments here in-house.
I work in the mechanical design team, so obviously we design all the bespoke parts that we use. So you have our own bespoke designs. Sometimes we design model parts that were bought in, but we need to have them in 3D. And of course, then we put everything together in the assemblies. We also use it to basically anything involving 3D will be started or completed with SOLIDWORKS. So you can think any sort of jigs, things we use the 3D printer for a lot, like production tooling. Maybe we'll model a setup or how something's going to be kind of put together in the production step. Sometimes when we're preparing like marketing materials, helping our marketing team, we'll also use SOLIDWORKS to kind of defeature the geometry, make it more suitable for renderings and things, so it's a bit better to work with. We introduced PDM quite a few years back now, it'll be, and it really kind of shapes the whole way how the mechanical design team works together. So it's really enabled us to be a lot more consistent with the documenting of all the revisions of the parts. So it's really integral to how we manage all of the SOLIDWORKS related files. PDM allows us, in addition to having everything kind of in one place and have the versioning sorted out, it also allows us to kind of control the access of the files and make sure that the history is in check.
In 2013, we became part of a bigger group, the TechCom group. In 2013, we also developed our first lower-priced fluorescence spectrometer. Until then, we only have done the high-end time-correlated single photon counting instruments. But in 2013, we started with the lower or medium price range instruments. Since then, these instruments have grown dramatically for us. Edinburgh Instruments is now seen as a development hub of TechCom, our mother company. So in 2019, we released the first Raman instrument, and we are now seeing a significant growth in the range of our high-end Raman spectrometers. So Raman is an alternative technique to fluorescence, but it requires similar instrumentation that can detect very, very sensitive light on a photon level. And this is a range where we are experts in. This is why we considered Raman as our next range of products.
So I think one of the biggest strengths kind of people are thinking about when picking SOLIDWORKS is just the fact that it's so widespread. A lot of people use it in uni, so already off the bat you have people kind of familiar with it when you're like looking for people like engineers to use it. But I do find that SOLIDWORKS is a very complete package, especially for the types of things we do. So maybe typically our assemblies will have a couple of hundred components. The components that we design will be machined parts, sheet metal parts, and SOLIDWORKS toolset is very mature and kind of well suited for those sort of things. The 3D modeling kernel that it uses, the Parasolid engine, it's very good. You can kind of see that when you do some of the more demanding things, like with drafted features, with free surfaces, kind of complex fillets. You can kind of see it comes into its own and kind of handle really those more awkward situations that sometimes aren't a given that will kind of work, We had a really good experience with TMS. They've always been really fast to respond, so there's never been a sort of like waiting for tickets to get resolved. It's always kind of you send something out and like 15 minutes later, I was surprised like, oh, they already come back with us, and really kind of keen to get on top of things and figure out problems. So sometimes when we didn't necessarily have a problem, but just wanted to implement something a bit more unusual in PDM, they'll be really happy to kind of take a look at it